Welcome to Culture Under Fire with Marjorie Waldo. Everybody, I am, in fact, Marjorie Waldo, and I'm really excited about today's episode. We are going to be talking about laughter, movement, and connection, meeting people where they are. This particular episode is talking about a program specifically that we do at Arts Garage that I'm super proud of and that will likely make me cry while we're talking. So we're asking the big question, what does it take to help older adults connect through movement, laughter, and the arts? We'll be talking to Micah Stinson. He is our Arts Garage. Well, I call him ours. I don't know if he calls himself ours, but he's an instructor of improv, works with our summer camps at Arts Garage, and does a lot of other things in the world other than Arts Garage. Karen King, who is an employee at Arts Garage and also teaches grooving with Karen and other movement classes. And Diana Holm, who is the recreation specialist for Palm Beach County. And it's Palm Beach County's Department of
Community Services.
Department of Community Services, specifically Division of Senior and Veteran Affairs.
Correct.
I got it. Okay, good. So we'll talk about the power of accessible participatory arts experiences for older adults and how through movement, play, and self-expression, they help create welcoming spaces where people can connect, build confidence, and experience real joy. From what I hear from the people at this table, we are creating moments of joy for a lot of seniors in Palm Beach County. So first, I'm going to introduce you guys. Interrupt me if I get it wrong. Micah Stinson, we'll start with you. You're the only male, so good luck. Micah.
Hold down the fort.
Hold down the fort. Micah was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Do you have cowboy boots and hats in your closet?
I don't, but I feel like I should, because every time I go back to my mom's family, then everyone's got the big belt buckle.
Yes.
The boots.
Well, that's what you need to invest in.
I guess I need to add one to be authentic.
While he was in Houston, he trained in something called long-form improvisation, which we'll ask him to explain a little bit when we get there, at the Station Theater, previously known as Massive Improv. And he learned intensive conservatory study and performing with improv troupes. He did children's productions and Shakespeare tours with the Main Street Youth Theater.
Correct.
As well as serving as co-artistic director of Rogue Improv. And he is a bit rogue, so it fits.
Yeah.
After he moved to Florida in 2018, he trained with Bob Carter's Actors Rep and Intelligent Fools Improv. Mm-hmm. The Intelligent Fools organization is amazing. They're really special people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have Karen King, who does a lot of cool stuff at Arts Garage, but we're going to focus on her instructor role in this situation. You lived in Northern Virginia until 2023 when you moved to South Florida. Mm-hmm. You haven't been here that long. Do you like it?
I was my whole life in Northern Virginia.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Okay, good. She likes the beach. I know that.
Yes.
She received her certification to become a groove facilitator in 2011. And she also has several other certificates in mind, body nutrition, coaching, healthy sexuality, which we're not going to touch on today. This is G-rated, and relationship coaching, dance, and fitness, as well as some other things. Her career highlight has been her involvement with underserved youth and survivors of sex trafficking. And NGOs. What are NGOs?
Non-governmental organizations.
Non-governmental organizations who support them. And she's writing her own memoir, which is very cool. Okay, so Diana Holm. She's our government gal. She's working for the government. We're all a little bit more rebellious, I think. But you gave us a chance, which is cool.
I did.
You were born and raised in Florida.
I was.
Which I think is very cool. You moved to Palm Beach County after you graduated from the University of South Florida, and you have a BA in Health Services, right?
Health Science.
Health Sciences, sorry. BA in Health Sciences. This is kind of cool. You worked as a youth sailing director in 2012.
Yes.
What's even cooler to me is that during that time, she taught sailing for the Special Olympics. Wow. And that's where her interest in therapeutic recreation was formed, I guess, right?
Exactly. So I got connected with the county through Special Olympics. They were looking for a part-time sailing instructor, and I jumped right into it. And I had always wanted to work with people with disabilities, and that was kind of my opening into the field of recreation therapy.
That's really cool.
Wow.
So you've been with the county since 2017.
Correct.
CMAA, what does that stand for?
Club Members Association of America.
Okay, so she's at the CMAA Therapeutic Recreation Complex. Diana started working with the Division of Senior and Veteran Services in 2024 and has used therapeutic services with those seniors, recreation with those seniors.
Exactly.
You've always had an interest in art since you were a young girl, and that included dance, cheerleading, and painting and photography.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right. So thank you all three for joining me today. I'm really grateful.
Thank you
Absolutely.
for having
you.
us.
Micah, do you have anything funny to say to start us off?
I've actually was holding back. I had
figured.
a bunch of stuff that I hadn't. I'll just start with. I guess I'll start with a really bad dad joke.
Okay, let me hear it.
What do you call someone who makes coffee in the winter?
No idea.
A barista.
Okay. So you can see how this is going to go down the path today. You're sure to get a giggle.
I'll sprinkle them in throughout.
Okay. So I want to talk primarily about a new series. And we have two sponsors, two families who sponsored this series. We push programming into 5 county agencies that serve seniors and veterans, both those who live in some of those areas, or no, they don't live there, do they?
They're not residential.
But there are daycares.
Correct.
It's not residential. So they're either seniors who can travel to the community spot and participate in programming, or they're people who are in an adult daycare scenario because they have dementia and Alzheimer's, and their county has given their caregivers a pretty significant break by creating programming that they can drop them off for. Michael and Nicole Graziano are that's one of the couples that sponsored this, and Robert and Linda Schmier. And they all believe in the power of arts and culture. In fact, I believe Nicole Graziano has done a lot of work with seniors, so it hit close to home for her. Diana, I want to start with you.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to read the question that I put on the document that we sent to you.
Oh boy.
Most of the seniors and veterans that you serve would not be able to either travel to us in South Palm Beach County or afford to attend shows at Arts Garage. Am I correct about that?
Exactly. Yes.
So how do you grow your client base?
So being a government facility, we are funded by Palm Beach County government funding,
Okay.
as well as grant funding from the state and federal agencies. And we have 3 senior centers in Palm Beach County and 2 adult daycares. And with that, we are there to provide respite and recreation activities, nutrition, social engagement to seniors over the age of 55. It's giving them a place to go, a purpose, something to do throughout the day to keep their body going and their brain going.
Yeah, and you do a lot of other things besides the classes we push in. I mean, you've got a full schedule every day for all of them.
Yes.
So I think it's really meaningful work. Tell me about your client base. Tell me how you feel about the relationships you've developed with them, because I'm sure you do.
Yeah, so each senior center and daycare is totally different.
Okay.
We are spread out throughout the county.
And it's
so
a
that
large county.
we serve a huge amount of people. And each facility is very different. The clients come from different backgrounds, different demographics, different financial statuses. And so I'm really lucky because in my role, I work with all 3 of our senior centers. So I get to bounce kind of between the 3 of them. And with that, I've been able to form some really incredible relationships with the seniors. A lot of our programming is offered by volunteers, and many of them are our seniors as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And so it's been really a wonderful experience so far working at the senior centers and being able to build those relationships.
That's really cool. For me, I do a lot of things in my job, and a lot of them are on a computer screen or in a different setting than a social one. I consider this kind of a social setting, right? Where I get to just hang out and talk to cool people. So I believe that those moments, well, everybody's cool but Micah. I believe those moments are the things that make the job worth it in my experience,
100%.
right? It really lets you see something.
I get my share of office work too, but I really love being able to build those connections.
Engaging with those human beings. Karen, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Had you worked with seniors before the senior series?
Yes. Years ago, many moons ago, I left the corporate world and started working in activities. I saw an ad in a paper and I was like, what? That's a job? What the heck am I doing in corporate? Because I did not like corporate. And so I took the job. It was a huge pay cut. It was the best thing I ever did. It changed my life because I started to recognize the gifts that I actually had to give and working with people who are in some kind of heavy environments. And just like from then on, even after I became a stay-at-home mom after that, but I would go back, take my kids and visit. I worked a lot on memory care. So I worked a lot with dementia residents. And then throughout, even as I started teaching Groove years later, it just kind of, long story, but it just kind of happened by accident that I started teaching senior classes. So I've been teaching the classes for 10 years at least.
Specifically Groove.
Yes. Like it's kind of like a hybrid of Groove. I started incorporating drumsticks. So which is great for memory care because there's these simple patterns. And because I've worked with memory care before, you don't want to do anything that's too complicated because it's going to frustrate them. But the beautiful part is much like Groove and the principles of Groove that I learned when I took that training is you can't get it wrong. And that's what I tell people. It's really about expression. So I'm a guideline. This is a suggestion, but if you want to explore something different, or even if your mind isn't quite clicking with what we're doing, your mind is still sharpening.
Right.
You're still working your brain. And that's the good part.
I was an educator for 150 years.
Yes.
And there's an expression that I think you and Micah are both employing. It's a teacher action that I think you're both employing, which is you meet your students where they are.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't be sure that every kid is on the same page in the same textbook, right? And it's the same with seniors or any population, I think.
Yeah.
You don't know where they are. Micah, you've talked about that a little in what you've said. Talk about the work that you do.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of the things that they've both said is it just applies, that especially just the idea that you can't make a mistake, which is one of the main things when you talk about improv in general. You know, you use terms like improv rules if you're teaching classes. All that really kind of goes out the window, and it's all about supporting any decision that is made and that it's right. So, like, just for example, I mean, what I normally end up doing, because with performance and things like that, there's a lot more in depth with improv and long form improv. And this has really been cool because I'm trying out things that I do more as with my group to like rehearse or teach regular classes and just to feel out what works. And it changes. And I want to piggyback on all 5 classes are completely different. Like
based on the population that's in the population
that's there. It's so diverse, you know. Even the 2 different memory care, completely different. And that's what I love is I do a very, without going into the whole thing, we do a very simple exercise, which is meant to get you out of your head, we just called 5 things. And so it's literally just, you know, hey, Karen, tell me 5 of your favorite cereals. And now everyone else in the room is, and then it's just yes. And you can't get it wrong.
Right. It's a really cool way to start the engagement.
For example, just to give this I use this as an example. A guy was like, "Oh, I want to come up with my own 5 things. I want to do, 5 of my favorite foods." And then he went through 4 and he couldn't think of anything else. And the last thing he said was gout. But that was perfect.
I think I remember that.
Because You can't. It's just getting out of your head and doing something, and it was fun. You can't get it wrong.
I think a lot of people don't even have a good awareness of what improv actually is. And it is definitely in the theatrical space, right?
Yeah.
But for somebody like me who could never memorize anything, improv's a great way for me to feel like I'm engaging in an acting activity. And I was worried that we'd be able to do it, not with seniors. I knew they'd love it, but with dementia clients, anybody who has Alzheimer's. My mother had pretty significant dementia the last 3 years of her life. And I had a hard time imagining it, but you've been very successful with it.
It's actually interesting in a lot of ways. It's actually more effective with the memory care than with the just the regular senior, the seniors that are there, because it's so simple. It helps me focus as an instructor too, because I know that it's better to keep it simple. Keep the instructions simple, but it's just, I don't want to go into, I know we're going to talk some more, but just in general, that's what has impacted me more is they remember stuff that I don't remember from the last time I was there. And so it's just like, there's just this really quick little thing is, I do an exercise where, hey, we're going on a picnic. What do we need for the picnic? And they just tell me something, and I'll, if they're sitting, most of them, they're not as physical. So, I build it. I'll put my this is the campsite. This is this and that. And one lady, it was 2 months ago, she said, "Oh, and then you're going to be cooking these hot dogs over the fire." And I remember everyone was laughing because she said, "Oh, no, these are for me. You can't. Nobody else can have them." And then when I went back, I was like, "Oh, do you remember we did this last time?" She's like, "Yeah," and I didn't want to give anybody my hot dogs. I was like,
"Isn't that fantastic?"
It took literally just that one moment. It made me pause and be like, "Oh my God, this is actually working / doing something. It's cutting through that part of the mind and just." I like to use the term cutting through to the heart or the soul, and it's just hitting on a deeper level that kind of bypasses that.
And that sounds all, like hoo-ha. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a science person, right? So that sounds like, oh, come on, what do you mean? I'm going to tell you that my mother laid in a hospital bed in the last months of her life. And it was at the time we were recognizing that there was no going back, really. The brain can do magical things. The brain can teach you new things. So if it's exercising physically or tying that to music or movement, or if it's coming up with ideas like whose line is it anyway, it's making you create new brain waves. I'm sure you see it in other ways.
Oh, yeah.
We bought my mom a little Bose speaker, and we played gospel music. She could not easily say words that we could recognize, nor at all have a conversation, was unable to get out of the bed, but she could sing in tune with lyrics, gospel songs from her youth. So if you can find something, like I would imagine an improv class with physical movement, I think it's probably a little easier because you can find rhythms and things that are less, you don't have to put a finger on it. But like the campfire example is a great idea. It's something that everybody almost has had an experience with in their life, going to a picnic or doing a cookout on the beach or something in our area anyway. And I think it can cut through the noise that is created from physical disability or mental disability or injury. I think it's a remarkable thing. We were all a little nervous about starting it, right? Just making sure, I don't think Karen was, and Micah wasn't. He was like, well, just who do I talk to? And Karen's been doing it for a while. I had a passion for it, and it flamed during my mom's final time because I saw the value of it and realized how important it was. We tried to write a grant for it, and we didn't get the grant, and there was a good reason we didn't get it. There's a lot of competition for grant money, so I'm not complaining. We'd hoped to fund it that way. And then out of the woodwork come two donors who helped us do it. I had decided we were going to pay for it regardless because I think it's so meaningful to provide an opportunity for people who often aren't getting that opportunity anymore. So, Diana, talk about what you've seen happen, or what they say about Micah or Karen once they're gone. Is there anybody that talks to you about it after they're gone? This is your time to spill the tea.
Well, I will say, getting started, they didn't know what to expect.
Right?
They were like, what is this groove? What is improv? What are we doing?
Right.
They weren't sure about it. And so me and my coworkers would talk to the clients and be like, no, you're really going to enjoy it.
Whose
Come
line
give
is
a
it
try.
anyway? Remember, whose line is it anyway?
Because, I mean, you hear improv and you're like, well, what's improv? Like kind of what you were talking about earlier. They didn't know. But then once they started doing it, they love it. They can't wait for you guys to come back, honestly. Every month, it's such a blessing to have you all come in, and they look forward to it so much. And even some of my staff weren't sold on it. And as it's progressed and they've watched you interact with the clients, they are like, they're not going anywhere. We love them.
That's really
Nothing
cool
is
to
stopping
hear.
this.
I know it must feel good to you guys because I think you truly are making a difference. And I know it is satisfying, gratifying for me, and will motivate me to continue finding funding for this project because I think it's really important. So for the audience, we're sending Karen into 5 different groups each month, and the same for Micah. So twice a month, the same senior group gets this activity.
Exactly.
We should probably do it more if we could. But I think it's a really cool thing. They also do things like bingo or other activities that keep
there's
them
a million
going.
things.
Right? But this is something that I think is a little off the beaten path that they don't normally find.
It's unique for
You
sure.
know? How does the groove piece go? What do you find when you're working with the seniors specifically in Palm Beach County that you're serving now?
So one of the beautiful things is like you come into the space, and especially those first couple of classes, they're kind of like some of the people might be engaged in something else, and I'm pretty good at projecting my voice, and I'm just like, hey, you guys, this is what we're doing. And there can be language barrier, but I'll just, kind of motion to them, sticks, like you can. But after is the moment we start moving, because I'm very particular about the music. I get a variety of music, and I test things out too. It might be something just multicultural, where it might grab their attention, like what is going on here? A lot of stuff they know, but even newer stuff, a variety. But I also like to pick songs, especially at the end, that really make them feel something.
Right.
And so I've seen a lot of, once we start going, it's like everyone's engaged, even the staff. And it is so much fun because there's nothing I love more than to see people united in a dance where we've talked about this. That's what the, music, arts, dance, that's what it does. We're not thinking about who did you vote for before we can really experience and just be connected to the music and to what's happening in the room and to each other. No one's thinking about those other things.
That's definitely the power of the arts. It unifies people. It's it erases those boundaries.
Yes.
Can you give an example of somebody who maybe was less likely to jump in at the beginning and what changed it?
So there were a couple of ladies that were very engaged in they were doing a little dominoes game. And, I just came over and said, hey, we're going to be doing some dance. And they were kind of like, yeah. And one thing that I also do is I move throughout the room. And I, come over and start to dance with them just to cue them or just to engage with them. And I'll look them in the eyes, I'll sing to them or something, maybe flirt with them a little bit. And we get the drumsticks going. I'm like tapping on their drumsticks and stuff. So, after a little while, these ladies were like, next thing you know, they're kind of moving around because I start with just some movement.
Right.
And then I hand them the drumsticks, a few songs in. We stretch a little bit. We do kind of, move our bodies a little bit, drop into our body. That's really what this is about, is connection, to yourself, to the room, to the music.
Which is improv too. It's the same thing,
you can't get it wrong. But I've seen emotional releases where at the end, sometimes it's even been a family member or a staff that they're literally in tears.
Yeah.
Because they've dropped into their body.
Right.
But like there's what happens at the beginning and by the end of the class, it's a very different room, a very different energy.
I think that's super
they're
amazing.
Very engaged.
I've actually noticed that a lot and I do, because it's not as clear and I have to because there's a big difference between like what I do in shows or what most people would think about. Oh, I'm going to go see an improv show versus what goes on in the exercises. One of the funny things is, people are a little more hesitant at the beginning. I always have a core group, especially since I've been going back to the same places. There's always a core group that are super excited that I'm there and they're ready to jump in and give 110%. But what's funny is people that are, quote, they don't want to be involved. As soon as they start seeing other people, they'll chime in from across the room. I was like, see, all right, you didn't want to do it. And look you're having fun. You're doing it.
Right,
5 minutes later. And now you're all involved.
Right.
It's cool how that happens. There's also people that when I come, they get up and leave. They're like, I don't want to.
Oh, how funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But I call them out on it too. I was like, oh, if you come back in here, you're going to get involved in it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, Diana, why is it important, or is it important? I'm leading. If I were in the courtroom, they'd object to that
Leading the
statement.
way. Yeah.
So, is it important to bring arts and culture experience specifically to the clients, and why?
Most definitely. Arts, as we know when we're kids, is so important for our development, right?
Right.
It's important to our fine motor skills, our gross motor skills, our creativity, strengthening our brain, and working that different side of our brain.
Problem solving.
100%. And if you think about it, as we age, we kind of go back into that childlike manner. Our brain regresses, our body regresses. And so bringing in the arts, whether it's physical or emotional, cultural, spiritual, whatever it might be, it's expanding our abilities. It's opening up our minds, our hearts, our bodies.
Do you see any difference in their demeanor after an activity like this?
Yes.
How would that show itself?
Kind of like Karen was even saying, depending on their personal experiences, everybody reacts a little differently. Some people might have an emotional release. Some people might show more joy. They might feel more connected to the room and opening up in those social relationship skills. Some people might have a physical release of stress or grief.
They carry it with them outside of the class? Do you see a difference in the rest of their day?
Definitely. One of the nice things about our classes is we schedule them in the mornings, either at 10 or 11. And so it almost sets their day up for success. It sets them up for happiness. You can always tell when they've had an enjoyable experience, when they've had a great class, because they come out excited for what's next in the day, whether they're going to lunch or going into another program or just playing a game with some friends.
Right.
We've had people build new friendships out of these classes.
That's really cool.
Which it's really awesome to see.
You know, I hadn't, honestly, I knew I wanted to do the program, but I hadn't really thought about the ripple effect. I hope that some of that is from the families as well. I hope that, what I mean to say is that I hope that the families feel something lighter or different in their caregiving, because caregiving is no joke.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of us end up doing it ourselves because we don't have the funds to pay for quality care. So
Exactly.
I think it's really cool that you're offering the opportunity.
And the senior centers and adult daycares are exactly that. They are an opportunity for the family members, the caregivers, as well as the clients to have a little bit of respite. give you some time for yourself, whether you're a client doing something you want to do, because our activities, they're self-motivating.
Right.
Everybody chooses to be there who's there, and no one's forced into anything. But it gives them a purpose, and it can be such a much needed break for family members and caregivers.
Makes me happy. I think the arts connect us in a way that screens don't, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on my computer, my phone, my iPad almost every second I'm awake. When you live that way for work or for fun, like younger people, especially my children's age in their 20s, they're really addicted, and I'm pretty damn addicted. So it can jar you into a different reality when you're actually connecting with a human being at a deeper level. And I really think the arts is a cozy, comfortable way to do that because it's non-threatening.
Yeah. Could I add something to that? So at the end of every class was one of my favorite parts is I'll remind them, you just did something amazing for your mind, your body, and your spirit. And before I leave, I want to come around and take a moment to send love to you from my heart to yours and recognize that. And so I'll get on face level with them and make eye contact for a few moments. And that's something, even like you say, we're all in our phones, we're in our computers. We don't even do that sometimes with our loved ones when we get home. And we all need to feel seen.
You know, it's so funny that you say that. And it is also especially common for people to not maintain eye contact or a personal conversation with someone if there is any kind of a, I don't want to use the wrong word, but I'm just going to say any kind of a disability. Aging is not a disability. That's not what I mean to say. Right. But as you age, especially when your body and mind betray you a little, it sets you back from interacting with other people in an easy way like you do the rest of your life. So able-bodied or able-minded people are uncomfortable with that. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're looking at our futures. Maybe it's because we just feel sad. It makes it harder for us to intentionally engage people. And so you're creating something where you're intentionally doing this that I think is a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah, and a reminder, like an affirmation that you are sitting here.
Right.
Yeah. You're not in this, just in this room, but on this planet for a reason. You are still needed here because there's such a forgotten.
Yes.
It's like, these are the people, these were my teachers. These were the people who raised me and you know, set the path.
That's right.
And they're still here for a reason.
And they still matter.
Absolutely.
And they need to matter more. We need to make sure that we're ensuring that they matter.
They need to know they matter.
And
Exactly.
There's something that, like, for them, something you said that I naturally do when I do other classes. One of the big things that we do, that I do, is we save 5 or 10 minutes at the end for everyone to, we call it like the love circle, where you go to each person and, you know, hey, what did you enjoy that someone else did in the class? And I found myself just kind of naturally going up to people. I didn't even really think about it till you just said that. Like, I had a class yesterday of just, I found myself naturally going up to the people that had taken more of a risk and just saying, you know, just thank you for being vulnerable. And that's another message that I try to get across is, you know, there's, whether with seniors or in any improv, which, you know, it's basically, the word improv is just, it's made up. You know, you don't have it planned. You may have some sort of structure, but you never know what's going to happen. And I like to encourage them and just point out and say, you know, you're doing something very courageous right now. You're doing something that 99% of the planet would not do.
That's right.
So, you know, and I also, when people, they're like nervous at the beginning of the class, and it's like, I'll say, I'd like to challenge, just, you know, depending on the group and what I can read is available. But basically, like, if it's a little bit of you just being uncomfortable, I want to challenge you to maybe lean into that. Because that's how we grow, no matter what we're doing, it is scary. And what happens if I get someone to do it and I'm like, how do you feel now? Oh, that was fun.
Any human interaction is created through each of those people that's interacting being vulnerable.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It is hard to trust your thoughts or your heart or whatever with another human being. So it's a pretty exceptional opportunity to see it happen in a group. All right, I have a couple more questions and we've hit the bewitching hour. So I want to ask you to say one sentence about anything that's impacted you personally in the last few months that we've done this program in Palm Beach County. Like a personal learning or feeling or something. And I don't care who answers first. And you can tell me you don't want to answer, but I'd love it if you tell me how it mattered to you and a specific example.
I'll go. I don't, when you say specific, I mean, this is just something that may not be one specific thing, but what happens often is that I am constantly reminded that I am looking at myself when I am making eye contact, that we're all connected. And it's easy, we know this, right? Or at least if that's what you believe, then I can walk around and sort of know this, but it becomes very real to me in those moments that I'm looking at myself and I want to be a reflection, a mirror of their own divinity because I'm seeing mine in
Isn't
them.
that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to me. I know people say, thank you for coming. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm getting more out
Yeah.
of this. It's so selfish. Like
Right.
I'm getting more out of
Right.
this than
Right.
anybody.
Micah, you got anything?
Yeah, there's a line actually that we were talking about intelligent fools, and Ernest is improv is for everyone, whether that's doing a show, whether that's doing exercises. It basically means, like I said, it's just you don't know what's going to happen. So really, we're improving all the time. So for one thing is, that if I was to say one sentence, improv is for everyone, and then the situation is really proving that it kind of cuts through any of the fog, the mental fog, whether it's just a normal person who's overthinking or someone who's in dementia. It can cut through.
How does it apply in your own life?
Oh, for me, I mentioned the moment with the woman with the hot dogs.
Yes.
That was the moment where I realized that this was very, very special. And I had a moment where it's not as emotional in general as it sounds like what you're doing, but a lot of it is in the reflection that I have when I leave and kind of the rest of the day. And it's just, I know that I'm making a difference. And I feel like making people laugh in general is always making a difference.
Yeah.
But to see something like that, and the lady, she was like 93 years old, and she doesn't seem very present most of the time, but for her to remember not just the hot dogs, but the fact that she had them and she wasn't going to give them to the other people.
She wasn't sharing those hot dogs.
That was the main moment where I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that just, it helps me throughout my day, because when challenges come up, I can remember we can get so caught up in busy work and things we have to do. But that moment I like to carry with me, because there's no way that I can even try to convince myself that that's not making a difference.
Absolutely. Right. Right. All right, Diana.
Oh, goodness.
Can you say that it had an impact on you? I know you're twice removed, right? Because you're not one of the staff members working with the people. You're not the instructor, but do you feel like it has any impact on you personally?
I'm kind of like Karen in that I get so much gratification from being able to provide these programs to our clients and seeing the effect that it has on them. And I can say that from before I worked with seniors, as well as now.
Right.
And it gives me so much gratification. But I love it when I take a moment and pause and really listen to the seniors and how they have been impacted, because they'll come and they'll talk to you and they'll tell you. I mean, they always thank us, but when you give them that opportunity to kind of pull you aside
Right.
and have that real conversation with
Right.
you, you get to see the depth
Yeah.
and you get to see the impact of what you are doing really has an influence on them. And it's benefiting their lives. And
Means
it just makes
something.
them so happy.
Yeah, it means something.
Yeah.
You don't pick the work that you do unless you have an affinity towards people in
Exactly.
general, but in particular in this case with seniors.
We do our work
think
because we
it's-
love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one last question to sum it up. I want you to think about, we've talked about the participants, we've talked about each of you. How do you think programs like this ripple out and have an impact on a greater community, or do they? I mean, I think they do, right? I think that every bit of joy that each individual gets in their own lives makes them, whenever you are front facing in a service industry like we are, you see someone's day as soon as they walk in the door. So if they've had a really hard day or they're dealing with a lot of really difficult things in their lives, personally or whatever they're worried about, they often find it easy to take it out on a stranger, right? So in my mind, what we're doing is a little dab at a time. We're giving people some kindness that has got to roll out in the community. Like what I said about the caregivers. I hope that
definitely.
they feel lighter. Are there any other like community impacts that you would easily say are occurring because of the work?
I mean, I feel like you use the term ripple effect. I feel like an energetic change after these classes and after these experiences. And I would say that not only is it going to affect the people that are their caregivers or the people that are in their circle, but then that, even if it's just lessened a little bit, it still passes on to them. And then they carry that at whatever level of a change it is throughout the rest of their day.
Yeah.
And so, maybe they were having a frustrating day. And in one scenario, they're going to the market and they get upset because there's not a coupon being taken.
Right.
But if that same day they took someone for the daycare, they come back, they're lighter, they're happier, there's a better interaction, it ripples throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I think that, and then that passes on from the cashier at the grocery store. I just think it's the start of a ripple effect that we can't really measure. I think
you can't see every impact that you're making. You can't. But I do believe that it carries far beyond the walls of the classroom that you're working in.
Oh yeah. We're here providing a service.
Yep.
And in everything that we do, we're hoping that we're providing a positive impact with that service.
Right.
And so that's all you can do.
I like that your staff said we can't go anywhere. That's good. I'm going to have to come and watch one of your
need
classes.
to.
I would love to come if I could just unglue myself from my desk chair.
That's one thing we were talking when you were mentioning the staff earlier, is I think that the same thing happens with them, because what happens for me is they'll start not being involved in the exercises, but they're seeing them having fun, and now they're doing it too. And it goes, the same ripple effect goes that direction as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
It cuts their work.
Right.
It pulls them away from maybe that computer screen that
And gives a
we're
little
stuck
joy,
in.
right?
Exactly. They and they get to kind of take a breath and not worry about the 15 other things that are going on and just focus on one thing and having fun and
leaning into it, like
Yeah.
Karen said.
Exactly.
You have a
Yeah.
little moment where it's safe to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for joining me. We have to call it a day. I told you we'd do 30 minutes. We did 45. So I apparently am not telling the truth. We could do 3 more sections of this conversation. I want you each to know that you are fulfilling something really important for me as a human being that helps me heal. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, I want to say that we can't thank you and your organization enough for providing these opportunities to our clients, because I know we've been talking about it the whole day, but it has such an incredible impact on their lives.
So glad to know.
Yeah, and on mine too. Like having the opportunity to do this again, here in Florida means everything to me.
Took me a while to get it together, but I finally got it together.
You know what? It happened in the perfect
We
time.
got it going. Now we're not going to let it go.
This is a very rewarding experience, and I'm super grateful.
I'm very thankful. So, and I'm thanking you hugely for doing the podcast with me today to help share the story. We're going to share it with everybody and let them know what incredible work you're doing. And we'll make sure that the Grazianos and the Schmears get to hear the episode so they'll see what an impact they've made on the four of us and the people we serve. So thank you.
Thank you.
For our listeners, I hope you'll share the episode once it's live and like it, subscribe to the podcast, Culture Under Fire with Marjorie Waldo. Do a review. That would be great. Help us gain some traction in the metric-driven world of social media and podcasting platforms, and share it with your friends. If you were to have an idea for a host or a topic for us to explore, you can email us at info@artsgarage.org. Put Culture Under Fire in the subject line and give us your ideas. We really thank you for listening, and we hope you'll check us out the next time too. Thank you so much.